In previous lectures of quantum mechanics, we have discussed the concept of Hilbert space, particularly a scalar product of two elements of Hilbert space, the dimensions and basis of Hilbert space, and its separable and completeness conditions. These were the main facts which we have discussed in the topic of quantum mechanics of heading Hilbert space. In fact, now we have to discuss Dirac's Bra and Ket algebra, which is a most important concept of quantum mechanics. But before knowing the concept of Dirac's Bra and Ket algebra, we need an idea of a square integrable function, which is usually called a wave function in quantum mechanics. So in this lecture, I would like to give you a brief concept of a square integrable functions. In fact, in the case of function spaces, that is a space formed by functions, a vector element is given by a complex function, and in this space, that is the function space, a scalar product is defined by integrals. It means the scalar product of two functions, as we have denoted in the study of linear vector space or Hilbert space, that symbol will be defined in terms of an integration. How we define the scalar product of two functions, or you may say the two vector elements of the Hilbert space in integral form. This is in fact the subject matter of the present lecture. So the main facts which I have told you, I am just writing the main facts for your convenience, that in case of function space, in case of function spaces, what is the vector element of this space? Vector element of this space. What is the vector element of the function space? In fact, it is a complex function. Complex function. And how the scalar product is defined in this space? A scalar product is defined. A scalar product is defined by integrals. What I want to convince you, let us say we consider two functions. Let psi of x and phi of x. For simplicity, I am just considering only one space coordinate, that is one dimensional case we are considering for simplicity. Psi of x and phi of x are two functions. You may say this will be in fact complex function, or in other words you can say that these functions psi of x and phi of x are actually the vector element of a function space. In fact, that is also Hilbert space. Later on we will see this. So if psi of x and phi of x are two functions, then their scalar product is defined as, if psi of x and phi of x are two functions, then the scalar product of functions psi of x and phi of x, as you know that in a linear vector space the scalar product of psi and phi is denoted by the symbol psi comma phi. In fact, this symbol denotes the scalar product of psi and phi. And in function space, as I have told you, this product is defined by an integral. So how it is defined? We define it. In fact, the function at the first place is psi. So in its definition, we have to take the complex conjugate of this function. That is the function which is in fact a prefactor. So we will have to take its scalar, its complex conjugate, and then the another function is in its original form, dx. This integral in fact defines the scalar product of function psi and phi. For clarity, we would like to define the scalar product of phi and psi. You see here, phi is at the first place, so it is defined as phi star of x psi of x dx. Here the sign of a star represents in fact complex conjugate. Psi star of x. What is this? This is in fact complex conjugate of psi of x. Now, there may be two situations in accordance with the nature of the function. This integral may diverge or may not diverge. What do you understand when I say that the integral diverges? Integral diverges means the integral has not a definite value, but in fact it is undefined, or you may say it is infinity. If this integral diverges, that is the integral has not a definite value. In that very condition, you must say that the scalar product does not exist. So there will be two situations. Number one, if integral psi star of x phi of x dx diverge, that is, it is infinity or undefined infinity, then the scalar product of psi and phi does not exist. A scalar product of phi and psi does not exist. If this integral diverges, which means it is undefined, it has not a finite value, in that condition we say that the scalar products of psi and phi does not exist. So in fact, in this condition a scalar product does not exist. So we want the function space to possess a scalar product if we want to, or if we have a scalar product in this function space. In that condition, we must select only those functions for which this scalar product will exist. Or you may say that for the existence of this scalar product, we must be selective. You can't select any set of two functions, but there should be cautious that we have to select only those two functions for which this integral does not diverge, has a finite value, so that the scalar product may exist. In fact, in particular, a function psi of x is said to be a square integrable if the scalar product of this function psi of x with itself, that is product of psi with psi, is finite. So the second thing is very important regarding it. We should select only such functions in function space for which integral psi star of x phi of x dx is finite. That is, a scalar product of psi and phi exist. Such functions should be chosen or selected. Now, if you want to define the square integrable function, how we will define it? Let us say if psi of x is a function, or you may say a complex function, a function. If in fact a scalar product of psi of x with psi of x, that is with itself, is finite, in that condition we say that this function psi of x is a square integrable. Psi of x is called a square integrable. A square integrable if product of a scalar product of psi with psi, that is with itself, is finite. Is finite. Or we can say that how we will define a scalar product of psi with psi in integral form. As you have seen above, you may define this product as integral of psi star of x psi of x dx, and this should be finite. If this integral is finite, only then we say that the function psi of x is a square integrable. And if this integral is undefined, the function is not a square integrable. You may write this equation in following form. You know psi star times of psi is written as modulus of psi of x square, or you may say it norm of psi of x square, and you may say for function psi of x to be a square integrable, this must be finite. This must be finite. And just conversely, you can say if this integral is not finite, when you say it is not finite, it means you are saying that it is undefined, then the function is not a square integrable. If integral mod of psi of x square dx is undefined, then psi of x is not a square integrable. A square integrable. I hope you have clearly understand what the square integrable function means. Till now, we have just defined the square integrable function and the manner by which In integral form, the scalar product of two functions is defined. In fact, the space of square integrable functions possesses the properties of a Hilbert space. For example, we will see that any linear combination of square integrable functions is also a square integrable function, and this is you know that this is an important property of Hilbert space. And at the same time, the square integrable functions satisfy all the properties of a scalar product of a Hilbert space. So we can treat this a square integrable function as a vector element of Hilbert space. So this is a very remarkable fact. You may say that let us say point wise, this is suppose point A which I am going to deal with. So this, as I have told you, the square integrable functions have all properties of Hilbert space, and you can say that the linear combination of square integrable functions is also a square integrable function, and at the same time all the properties of a scalar product of a Hilbert space are satisfied by a square integrable functions. So I am just writing for your convenience the main facts which I have stated, that a square integrable functions, a square integrable functions possess a square integrable function possess a square integrable function possess all properties of Hilbert space. All properties of Hilbert. For example, we considered the first property. Let us say we have several square integrable functions. You may say, let psi1 of x, psi2 of x, so on, psi n of x are a square integrable function. Let us say there are, in fact, I have considered n square integrable functions from psi1 of x to psi n of x. Then the linear combination of these functions, linear combination of these functions. You know How we define the linear combination of functions? We simply multiply by arbitrary constants to the functions and added them, and after that we get the linear combination of those functions. So the linear combination, if we consider that psi of x is the linear combination of these functions, psi1 of x, psi2 of x, and so on, psi n of x, then psi of x will be what? This will be simply c1 psi1 of x plus c2 psi2 of x plus so on plus cn psi n of x. Or in compact form you may write this is summation ci psi I of x I 1 to n. This is psi of x. This equation in fact represents the linear combination of these n functions, and after this linear combination we get a function psi of x. What I have told you above, if psi1 of x, psi2 of x, psi n of x are a square integrable function, and you get a function psi of x after the linear combination of these square integrable function, then definitely this psi of x will be also a square integrable function. Then psi of x is also a square integrable. This is just an example to clarify that the all properties of Hilbert space are possessed by the square integrable function. This is just an example or a property. At the same time, as I have told you, this square integrable function also possesses all the scalar properties of Hilbert space. A square integrable function square integrable functions satisfy all properties of a scalar product in Hilbert space. So I hope now it will be clear to you that the square integrable functions may be treated as elements of a Hilbert space. In fact, when we have discussed Hilbert space, you have seen that in case of discrete basis, Hilbert space is a finite dimensional space. Its dimension is finite. But when the basis is continuous, then Hilbert space is of infinite dimension. In when we talk that elements of Hilbert space are in fact a square integrable function, then actually Hilbert space will be of infinite dimension. In other words, you can say that dimensions of the Hilbert space of a square integrable functions is infinite. Why? As I have told you, this is because wave function can be expanded in terms of an infinite number of linearly independent functions. And we know dimension of a space is given by the maximum number of linearly independent basis vectors required to span that space. So definitely, if a square integrable functions are the element of Hilbert space, then dimension of Hilbert space will be infinite. So what I have told you, I am just mentioning in only one second sentence that if a square integrable function functions are elements of Hilbert space, then dimension of this space is infinite. In fact, this is a general fact. In case of continuous basis, dimension of the vector space is infinite. Till now, we have defined the square integrable function, and after that, we have seen that the square integrable functions may be elements of linear vector space because all properties of the Hilbert space are satisfied by a square integrable function. Now, in fact, when we study a square integrable function in quantum mechanics, then the most important example of a square integrable function is nothing but simply the wave function of quantum mechanics. In quantum mechanics, we deal with a state of a particle by a function which is called a state function or wave function. And this wave function is the most appropriate example of a square integrable function. So, an important example of a square integrable function is wave function psi of RT in quantum mechanics. QM for quantum mechanics. In fact, you have definitely read about Born's probabilistic interpretation of psi of RT, that is wave function, and this interpretation of psi in fact tells us that the square of the modulus of this psi measures the probability density, that is, it measures the probability of finding of a particle in a space of unit dimension. If the space is one dimensional, then it will mean unit length. If the space is three dimensional, then that will mean unit volume. So, according to Born's interpretation or probabilistic interpretation of psi of RT, mod of psi of RT square. In fact, this is probability density. That is, probability density means what? That is the probability of finding of a particle in unit volume. In fact, if we consider the 3D space, then probability density means probability of finding of the particle in unit volume. If we consider a small volume element, let us say this volume element is D3R. D3R, and in fact this is centered about the point whose position vector is R, so its elementary volume is written as D3R, or you may equivalently write it d tau or dv, but I will use this symbol D3R. Since it is the measure of probability of finding of particle in unit volume, so the probability of finding of particle in this elementary volume D3R will be what? This will be simply this probability density multiplied by the volume. So, probability of finding of the particle in volume element D3R. If we denote this probability by the symbol dp, what will be this? This will be simply mod of psi of RT square into D3R, or you may also write it as psi star of RT, psi of RT d3r. This is in fact probability of finding of particle in this elementary volume d3r, the volume which is centered about in fact r. So we can find after integration the probability of finding of particle in any finite volume or any given volume. So probability of finding of the particle in a volume dV, not dV but you say V, in a volume V. If that probability is P, that will be simply integral of mod of psi of RT square d3r d3r. And if we consider all space, then the probability will in fact become certainty, as if you consider all space, particle will be definitely inside that volume, because we are considering the all space. So either at this place or that place, particle will be definitely present. So in that condition, the probability becomes certainty, or you may say in the all space the probability of finding a particle is 100%. And when you say that probability of finding is 100%, it means probability is equal to 1. So probability of finding of the particle in all space must be equal to 1. Hence, probability of finding of particle in all space is 1. 1 means certainty. That is, you may say integral all space mod of psi of RT square d3r, you may write dV here, and this equal to 1. In Cartesian coordinate, this equation may be written as, when we will use Cartesian coordinate, this d3r equal to dV, and this is simply equal to what? Dx dy dz. And as we are considering all space, so limit for the variables x, y and z will be from minus infinity to plus infinity. So we may write this above equation in Cartesian coordinate, that this is integral from minus infinity to plus infinity dx, integral minus infinity to plus infinity dy, integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod of psi of RT square dz equal to 1, equal to 1. See this equation. A most important equation is this. Here you see that the probability of finding a particle in all space is equal to 1. What will be the equation number? The equation number will be what? This will be 3. Say this is equation 3. This is equation 3. So you see here that the condition of a square integrable function is satisfied by the wave function of quantum mechanics, as integral defined in equation 1 is simply, let us see here, that this is in fact this equation, and the value of integral is not undefined but it is a finite value 1, and so you can say that the condition of a square integrability has been satisfied by the function of quantum mechanics. Actually, when this condition defined in equation 3 is satisfied, then the wave function is called normalized. So it is also called the normalization condition. So psi of RT is a square integrable. A square integrable. And you may say this is condition of normalization. We will discuss normalization and problems based on it in further lectures. Normalization condition. So we can say that the wave function of quantum mechanics satisfy in fact the condition of a square integrability. So it is in fact a most important fact that wave function must be a square integrable. If a function is not a square integrable, then it can't be a valid wave function, or you may say that it can't be a realistic wave function. It can't define or discuss a realistic physical situation. Although for a valid wave function there are 3 important conditions, and among those 3 conditions this is one of them, that is the square integrable property. Just I am mentioning here that all realistic wave function, all realistic wave function must be a square integrable. square integrable. Although I have told you, I am just writing it in just a note, that there are three conditions for a realistic wave function. And what are those conditions? First one is psi of RT must be finite. Must be finite everywhere. It means everywhere. It means nowhere psi of RT can be infinite. The second condition is in fact continuity condition. Psi of RT and its first order derivative, that is d psi by dt, d psi in fact you may say, if t is constant, then we may define del psi del x, del psi del y, and so on. This should be continuous. This should be continuous. So along with the square integrability property, the wave function also possesses these two properties, and these are the three conditions for a realistic wave function. When we will study particularly wave mechanics, we will again study these things in detail. So the important conclusion which in last section I have derived is that all realistic wave functions are square integrable. So we can say that if a function is not square integrable, then it can't be a valid wave function, or it can't be a realistic wave function. For example, I am just citing two functions, or you may say we just consider two examples. One of the example definitely you will familiar, but another example will be a new thing for you. In fact, in this topic we will discuss it in more detail in forthcoming lectures under a particular heading, and in mathematical physics too we study it, but I will clear all the concept of this function in this chapter. So in the section mathematical physics I will not deal with this function. The first one is number one, plane wave. I hope you were familiar with this particular function, which is called plane wave. We define a one-dimensional plane wave how? We define psi of x equal to a e to the power I k x, e to the power I k x, where in fact a is a constant, or you say it amplitude, and k is in fact wave vector. Wave vector. Definitely you have read this function in classical wave theory, in waves and oscillation. This is a very known function which is called plane wave. In fact, this function possesses the two properties of a valid wave function. It means this function is finite for all x. When x runs from minus infinity to plus infinity, never this function will be in fact undefined, because you know e to the power ikx can be expressed as cos kx plus I sin kx, and cos kx and sin kx are finite functions. Their values varies between -1 and +1 only. And the another property of continuity, it is continuous function. So two of the properties of a realistic wave function are satisfied by this function. But you will see that this is not a square integrable. Not a square integrable. We can test it that this function is not a square integrable. And as this property of a valid wave function is not satisfied by a plane wave, so definitely we can say that a plane wave is not a wave function to deal with the realistic physical situation. Or in other words, it is not a valid wave function of quantum mechanics. But how? You can see, if we find the condition of a square integrability, what will be the result? You can find it now. See that integral from minus infinity to plus infinity mod of psi of x square dx. What will be this? This will be in fact from minus infinity to plus infinity psi star psi dx. And see here, psi of x is what? Psi of x is a e to the power ikx. So psi star will be a star e to the power minus ikx. So our result will be integral minus infinity to plus infinity a star e to the power minus ikx into a e to the power ikx dx. And this will be e to the power 0, and so this is mod of a square. In fact, a star times a will be mod of a square, and this is a constant. An integral from minus infinity to plus infinity dx. And this will be mod of a square into infinity, and so this will be infinity. What will be this integral? This will be x, and when you will put the limit, that will be infinity plus infinity, and that is infinity, and so the result is infinity. So what you see here, when we find this integral, the result is not finite but undefined. And if it is undefined, then you can say that therefore psi of x equal to a e to the power ikx, in fact which is called a plane wave, is not a square integrable. It is not a square integrable. And if it is not a square integrable, so it is not a valid wave function of quantum mechanics. This is an important example, a function which is usually used, but it is not a wave function of quantum mechanics. The another important example is a, a specific function known as Dirac delta function. It may be a new thing for you, Dirac delta function, or you may simply say delta function. In fact, this function was introduced by Dirac in quantum mechanics, so it is called Dirac delta function. In fact, Dirac delta function I will deal in detail in this topic in forthcoming lecture under a particular heading. But here I am just citing an example that this function is not a valid wave function of quantum mechanics, for which I am just giving a simple definition of it. In fact, Dirac delta function centered at a point x equal to x naught. X equal to x naught is defined as, suppose this is a point x equal to x naught. This delta function as centered about x equal to x naught is denoted by delta x minus x naught, and it is defined at it is equal to 1 if x equal to x naught and it is 0 otherwise, if x is not equal to a. This is its simple definition. At x equal to x naught, its value is 1, and if x is altered from x naught, it abruptly falls to, x equal at x equal to x naught, it is not 1, but in fact it is infinity. So in this graph you see that there is just a high spike, just a line, and this is our delta function x minus x naught. This is just a simple, I am not in fact teaching you Dirac delta function, but just giving a simple example to show that this is not a valid wave function of quantum mechanics. In fact, this function possesses no property of a valid wave function. It means you see that at x equal to x naught, it is infinite. But what was the first condition? The psi should be everywhere finite. So the condition of finite value of psi is not valid for it. And the another function of continuity is also not satisfied by this function, as you see here, that whenever x alters from value x naught, this function abruptly falls to 0. So it is a highly discontinuous function. It means not finite, highly discontinuous. Highly discontinuous. And here we will see that it is not a square integrable. For this condition, let us test. Now we find the integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod of delta x minus x naught square dx. you see here, this is in fact infinity. This is equal to infinity, and this implies it is not a square integral. So Dirac delta function is not a valid wave function. One thing definitely there will be in your brain, that why then it is called a function used in quantum mechanics. In fact, Dirac delta function is not a realistic wave function, but its use leads a realistic situation. When we will study quantum mechanics, uh, and this delta function will come, you will see that this function leads to a realistic wave situation, although it is not a realistic wave function. So that's all for today in the heading square integrable function, and in next lecture now we will discuss Dirac Bra and Ket algebra, which is a most important concept.